Conservative Media viewers, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, and I've got a special presentation for you. But first I have to give the disclaimers. As you know, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not making any kind of medical claims. There's no medical claims in here whatsoever. It's up to you to talk to your own medical professional, make your own decisions. In fact, we're not making any factual allegations whatsoever. This is all my own personal opinion and the opinion of Dr. Jeffrey Miller. And this is all for informational entertainment purposes only. Check the disclaimers, all of them. In addition, we are getting paid for this video. You need to know that, but all these opinions are my own, and this is what I truthfully believe. Now, that being said, let's start on this. I'm excited about this because, as you know, I'm a 4-time national champion powerlifter. You know that. I was national to world class in 3 strength and combat sports, and I met Dr. Miller several years ago. It was actually he was introduced to me by a friend of mine who's also an athlete to help me with my competitions. He went on to sponsor me and help me win my last competitions, my last national championships. And let me tell you something. It really is so critically important. I've seen the difference in myself. I wanted to bring this to you. He's got some new incredible methodologies and technologies that he's bringing together that you might find beneficial. I definitely am someone that has benefited from this, and I think because I was in a situation where I competed at an elite level for 21 years, and you know, you do a lot of sort of damage to your body in that time. I didn't want to be in a situation where I couldn't walk later, where I couldn't do the things I want to do. When I had a family, I couldn't have that kind of you know, fun with my kids and play around as when I was younger. So it was really important to me to say, okay, not only how do I look for someone that can help me compete and win those last national championships at a high level, but also what can I do to sort of repair and heal my body to give it the longevity and sort of try to reverse some of the damage that I've done before. Dr. Miller has helped me do that. I want to introduce you to him, and I want you to hear what he's got going on right here.
Alright, so we're back. So now we've done the functional neurology and chiropractic treatments on John, and we're going to be doing the deep tissue laser on his lower back. So that's what we're going to start right here. And John, you can tell us what you're feeling.
Okay, and this is incredible. I mean, I remember the first time you told me about this, you're like, hey, I've got the class 4 laser. I'm like, okay, what's that? I mean, and I love science and stuff, but you told me about it, and you said, hey, why don't you try it out? And I'm telling you, the first time I used this, I'm like, this really works. I mean, it's like, it was incredible.
Absolutely, and that's the effect we get over and over. You know, a lot of people tell us we're skeptical, I don't know if this is going to work. And quite frankly, I think that's probably a healthy type of feeling. But over and over again we hear, oh my God, it was miraculous, this made a huge difference, nothing else has helped like that. So really, it's something that has to be experienced, and it's part of what we do when they come in for the free consultation.
Well, no doubt, and you know, as you talked about, I mean, my best lifts were 863-pound squat, 525-pound bench press, and a 670 deadlifted. I probably squatted and deadlifted over 600 pounds more than most people have ever squatted or deadlifted in their life, and I've done a lot of probably damage to my back, and something like this that has the ability, or the potential rather, to go in there and, you know, make a difference with my back it's really helpful.
Oh, absolutely. It's an unbelievable, you know, opportunity to be able to actually reverse some of the inflammation, break down some of the scar tissue, and get that tissue to function more normally. When it works correctly, it's an amazing technique. And it's just something we use in conjunction with our other treatments and makes a huge difference.
I think it's great. Now, how did you find out about the class 4 laser?
You know, I actually, as you know, I've had injuries of my own. I had a broken neck when I was younger and a disc injury, as well as some chronic injuries from athletics.
Well, you're in martial arts, and you're a big-time skier as well.
Absolutely. I did martial arts for years. I had a lot of fractures, a lot of sprains, a lot of dislocations, my shoulder. And so for me, I've always done chiropractic. I've always done physical therapy and rehabilitation. I actually have a degree in Ayurvedic medicine. And so I was able to manage my pain, but it was always there. And so I was always looking for something that would help me heal patients and heal tissue rather than just mass pain. And in 2006, the FDA first approved the deep tissue laser. And at that time, I started doing some research on it. And I spoke to the first company that was doing their products. And I went through a lot of the information. Over time, I figured out how effective it was, and then I began using it in the practice.
Oh, that's so great. And now this obviously is going to work for anyone that may, or well, rather, this, and again, we're not making any medical claims here. You're the medical doctor. I'm not. This is all our own personal opinion and for informational purposes and entertainment purposes only. Check with your medical doctor before doing anything. Now, but from what you've been able to see in your own practice, you know, folks obviously that might have had some back problems, but also like folks like maybe MMA athletes or football players or lifters like myself, it could really work for a range of folks.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the biggest thing I would say with that is anyone who has a substantial amount of joint damage, nerve damage, or scar tissue built up in joints or muscles, this is the technique that they're going to be using eventually. You know, this is going to become standard of care in 10, 15, 20 years. Because really, you know, what's the downside? You have light, you have intense laser therapy. When done properly, the risk factors are unbelievably low. You know, if you don't have hemophilia or a tumor, there's really no risk to you. And so the ability of us to heal tissue, you know, from the outside without cutting in with a scalpel, and we're able to heal tissue, it's amazing. And you'll see these advantages. I mean, right now, the biggest thing in dentistry and surgery is using lasers instead of scalpels. Well, we're more and more finding out the ability of lasers to heal. It's an amazing thing.
Well, these lasers are amazing. It does seem like everywhere you turn, there's a new laser to do something. Now, what kind of ballpark general level of like scar tissue fix can this give? I mean,
you know, we've seen it for things as simple as, you know, chronic disc injuries where you have scar tissue built up around the joint. Works very effectively both on the scar tissue and on the nerve. But also for patients with frozen shoulder, I've seen long-term athletes who have damage to their shoulder, damage to their elbow. We can break down a lot of that scar tissue and get them functioning normally. Actually, one of the craziest cases I saw was a gentleman who came in for a different problem, and we just tried it because honestly I didn't think it was going to work. He had hurt his finger, and he had a kind of a trigger finger type of syndrome where he couldn't move his finger, his index or second finger, all the way forward and back. And what he was having was this long-term buildup of scar tissue in that joint. And he was a competitive boater. I think he actually did maybe 20, 30 years ago the America's Cup. So high-level guy. And now he was teaching it, but his finger didn't work properly. And it's been like that, you know, 20 plus years. Well, I didn't think it was going to work. We were treating him for something else that was getting better. But I said, you know what, why don't we give it a try? And actually, after 2 or 3 sessions, he saw a major increase in range of motion. Wow. It wasn't 100% better, but it made a huge difference on something that was 20 years old.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible stuff. And, you know, the only thing I can say is for most people, give it a shot, come in, find out if you're a candidate. And if you are, more than likely, if we're going to accept you as a patient, you're going to get some type of results. And we're realistic about what we can do, and we're realistic about, you know, how we do it, but it makes an amazing difference in people's quality of life and their long-term function.
Well, that's exciting. I know that it's definitely worked out very, very well for me, and I've only been using it for just a little bit. And again, I want to remind the viewers out there, click the description over here that's right by the view counter. We're going to have all the information of how you can get in contact with Dr. Miller. We're going to have a phone number as well. You can check out his website. If you're anywhere around the Danville, California area, if you're in California, if you want to fly in or just talk to him or his staff on the phone, go ahead, check that information out and see what can happen here for you. There's no question that I think that for me and you know, in my elite athletic career, it's, you know, this kind of treatment and working with Dr. Miller has been a huge, huge help.
Absolutely. We've done some great things back when you were still competing, and I'm really happy to be working with you again and getting this thing taken care of. We're going to switch over to your shoulders, so why don't you sit up for me?